Hi everyone, this is Illy, and today I have Katie Lee with me. And I invited Katie. Well, I think you'll see why I invited her as we talk a little bit more. But you can learn more about Katie Lee at heykatielee.com. So, Katie, would you share a little bit about your life's work?
Yeah, of course. So I am an author and a daily life designer, and on a daily basis, I help busy, overachieving women to take control of their time and to get everything done, but also to craft a new normal for themselves, a new way of doing their everyday lives. And that new normal often looks like a really intentional everyday life that supports who they want to be as a person and where they're trying to go in their life without being overwhelmed all the time. And so I do that through one-on-one coaching and my book and have a new program, Break Free from Busy. And so there's a lot of ways that I can help women who fall into that category of like overwhelmed, stressed, achieving a lot of things to kind of get everything under control and not have to feel like this is the way it's going to be for the rest of their lives.
Well, I do say that. Of course, I think so many of us experience the busy, right, at different points of our lives. So, is there some sense to being overwhelmed by busy being like in and out of life, or do you truly believe that it doesn't have to come in? Like if we, I don't necessarily want to use the word master, but if we get intentional about certain things, that it doesn't have to be an in and out situation.
There are definitely seasons to life. You know, if you have a newborn baby, if you are writing your thesis, if you are doing some of those things that are seasonal or they're temporary, they're not going to be like that forever. Of course, you're going to have more work to do. Of course, you're going to be maybe a little bit more stressed or overwhelmed or tired. What I really want to focus on is the things that are kind of systemic, the things that are chronic, and I don't want anyone to move through life with a system or a way of being that guarantees that they're stressed all the time or that they're overwhelmed all the time. But I think it can make you even more stressed out if you feel like, I should have figured this out by now. I should be cured of my busyness and I'm still feeling a little busy, because even I sometimes feel a little bit of overwhelm or a little bit of stress, but I know it's coming from launching a product or having travel coming up or something that's temporary. It's not how my everyday life is all the time.
I really resonate with the word cure, and I think our audience, or our therapists will for sure. So to that, I am going to read something that really resonated with me in a different interview that you did, and that's a quote where you say, "I fully believe that we cannot move forward as a society or a world in a positive way if all of the smart, caring, driven people are completely exhausted or busy, or just tied up in their routines that they don't have anything left to give." It's really powerful because I think as psychotherapists, we're in the helping profession, right? And some of us have the opportunity to work for ourselves in private practice, but others of us do not work for ourselves. And so I'm curious about a little bit about your thoughts on the intersection of owning our time or not owning our time, or our sense of what that means, meaning we work for ourselves or we don't, and being helping professionals. Do you find that any of that makes busyness more, I don't know, challenging, or being unbusy more challenging?
Yeah, just like I mentioned before, where someone might be a new mom or might be going through, getting their master's degree or something like that. Every single person's life is different. And so it's not helpful to kind of compete for how busy we are or how good we are at mastering our schedules. But it would be foolish of me to say that it's as easy for me to design my schedule as it is for somebody who works not for themselves, because I work from home for myself. So I do have a lot more control over it. But I think it's really helpful for anybody to first recognize that they probably have more control over it than they are giving themselves credit for. So many times we kind of just chalk it up to being out of our control or set in stone, and it's not often as rigid as we're making it seem. And for a lot of employers, they want you to be successful. They want you to be focused and productive and effective. So give them some credit and approach them to see how they can work with you to make your design of your workday even better for you and for them, because they want a good output as well. They don't want you to struggle. They don't want you to be losing focus or getting distracted. And so the first thing I would say is that, yes, everyone is different, but start with your own situation and recognize there's a lot that you can change, even if it's been the same way for the last 10 years. It doesn't mean it has to be the same for the next 10 years or whatever. So that's the first thing that I would say. And then if there are things that you feel like are rigid parameters, you can still work within them. And one of the best ways I find to design your schedule, if you work for someone else or if you just don't feel like you have complete control, is to batch like tasks together. Mm-hmm. So batch your meetings, batch your writing time, batch your email time, so that you're not switching between tasks all day long, because that context switching loses so much of your focus and your productivity. And especially if you're in a helping profession where there are emotions involved, mm-hmm. It can be really hard to have an emotional meeting, have something that really impacted you personally, and then just dive right back into writing or emails or something like that. And so it's also really important to pay attention to the energy and the emotional drain that some tasks have, and then take care of yourself accordingly. Maybe after those meetings, you need to take a lap around the building, or you need to, close your eyes for a minute or do some deep breathing. Those are just little ways that you can kind of control the design of your day within what might seem like a really rigid format working for somebody else.
Thank you. One of the things that I mention I have mentioned a bit on my blog is the idea of utilizing the session break. So of course, for therapists, we're on face-to-face sessions. About 45 to 50 minutes is a typical one. And then having some sort of plan for those 10 minutes in between. And what happens for most of us is we write our notes during that time. So the session that we just did, we'll sit down and try to get the note done. But usually and inevitably, it's not enough time. And so we have a backlog of paperwork. So as you talk about batching, the way I'm interpreting that is it might be best to focus on client work and maybe have half a day scheduled that week, or even a couple of hours scheduled later in the day where it's only paperwork and we can concentrate on seeing clients for several days a week, et cetera. However works best for us, whether it's in the morning or in the evening or 1 day a week or 2 days a week. Is that how you would, see the benefit of separating the emotion and the administrative tasks?
It depends. I don't have a really great memory. So if I didn't take down those client notes right after the fact, they might be lost forever. And so and I'm not in your exact profession, so I can't speak to it exactly, but what I would probably recommend is either spreading out your client sessions, just if you could make your in-between part 10 minutes longer.
Yeah.
And set a timer and limit yourself to, I'm only going to write client notes for 15 minutes and then I'm taking a 10-minute break. Because a lot of times with those tasks, especially if it's, again, an emotional thing or you feel really passionate about your work, we can be giving way too much to something that should take a short amount of time. And so if you can limit yourself to, I'm going to write these as fast as possible, I'm going to get everything down that I can possibly remember, and I'm giving myself a limit of 15 minutes, you can get it done really quickly. But if you guys can remember what your client said, or you can remember to do that, then yeah, it would be awesome if you could have, a half day or evenings or mornings or whatever to just be really focused and work through all of those notes so that you can focus on your clients during the day. It just depends. I don't know what the client notes involve. So.
No, it's perfect, because I actually make that suggestion elsewhere in a blog post too, like extend the in-between time. But I really appreciate too that you're bringing in not just the routines or the rigidity that might be there based on whatever the structure is of your day, what you can control or can't control, but also your personality, right? Your natural gifts and the things that are your natural gifts. If you don't have a good memory, then think about this differently than someone who has a fantastic memory. And, but to that end, I heard you also talk about productivity, right? You did this on one of your Facebook Lives where you talk about productivity, and which I loved because I think it's just a constant challenge. There's so many productivity articles similar to happiness. Like, this is what's going to make you happy. And you talk about 3 aspects of scheduling. I'm not sure if I'm getting that right, but you'll correct me. And you talk about focus, distraction. What is the third one? Health. Thank you. I know it was an H word. Focus, health, and distraction. And how they relate to scheduling your time. Would you be willing to say more about that?
Yeah. So I just wanted to add to what you were just saying before. I try to help women to create a supportive day. So that means supportive to you. It doesn't mean supportive to me or to anyone else. And so with a lot of these articles, it's very, do these exact steps, but it doesn't always work for someone like that. And so it's really crucial to be self-aware of what works for you. So if you have a good memory or a bad memory, or you need a break between clients, whatever, but just do what works for you and keep experimenting with it. But I think it's important to know that it's not one size fits all. It might not work one way for one person or the next. So it's whatever works for you. So yeah, I was talking about productivity and how our society is obsessed with productivity, but we focus in most of the articles on how to squeeze as much into like a tiny amount of time and how to be faster and everything like that. But it really does come down to focus. And if you shift your intention from being productive to being focused, and you protect your focus and you schedule time to be deeply focused, and then you try to extend that time, you're going to see you get a lot more done. Because productivity really encourages multitasking, which is terrible for actually getting anything done. And so if you can try to spend time focused, you're going to see that tasks that maybe took you 90 minutes before are taking you 20, if you can give them 100% of your focus. But I bring in health because it is hard to get a lot done if you're hungry, if you're uncomfortable, if you're tired, if you're thirsty, all of those things, if you're having like a sugar crash or a caffeine high or something like that. And so it's important to remember that you're a physical human being who has physical needs. And the more you can take care of your health, the easier it's going to be to stay focused during the day and to actually do what you're there to do. I know, especially because I work from home where there aren't a lot of other distractions, I feel like my stomach is really loud when I'm hungry, or it's very obvious. I can hear those signs. And so if I was completely exhausted or just feeling kind of blah, it'd be hard for me to be really effective throughout the day. So focus is the number one thing, and health and distractions are just kind of supportive pillars to your focus. So distractions, if you can cut out one distraction, you're going to find you're going to get so much more done. If you can limit people coming into your office, if you can limit your phone going off, if you can close your email down, if you can remove notifications, even if you are kind of a daydreamer, maybe you need to like close the shades so you're not looking outside, or put your family photos down so you don't even, go down that loop. There are a lot of things that can pull us away from what we're trying to do. And so if instead of focusing on how can I be more productive, look at how can I support supremely focused time in my day, whether that's one-on-one attention with a client, or writing those notes, or writing, a bigger report or something like that. How can I support that physically in my own well-being? How can I support that by limiting distractions? And can I give 100% of my focus, meaning all other tabs are closed, I'm here fully for 30 minutes, for an hour, and you'll find that it's a lot easier and more enjoyable to do your work when you're not being pulled away minute by minute to other things.
The 100%. It's like, I don't know if you do that on purpose, if you say that on purpose, but I find that to be the thing that really gets gets me when you talk about this, the 100%, because I'm a notorious lots of tabs open person. And I haven't solved that. There are a bunch of tabs open right now, but I definitely feel the pull toward that 100%. And I know that when I am 100% focused, because presence is my word, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's my word for the days, the moments of the day. And so I think of presence as 100% focus. And I think I enjoy life so much more, and even the routine aspects of life. So thank you for that. I think it's a challenge and a goal, but also super doable.
Mm-hmm.
So the little things that you talk about, putting the pictures down, just almost like prepping our environment for success.
Yes, exactly. And I have really liked the Noisly platform. It is noisli.com. It has ambient noises like coffee shop sounds or thunderstorms or whatever, but it also will take up your whole screen and give you like a really gentle color, and you can write on it. And I found that it's been scientifically proven, but it just helps you zero in on the task that you're doing, because focus is not easy. We have not been trained to focus. You actually do have to practice it, and your brain is going to resist it, and you'll get better at it. But you can't go from multitasking 100% of the time to focusing for 8 hours. That's not going to be possible. So you'll have to practice. I'm going to give 20 minutes of supreme focus, and then 30 and 40 in an hour. But you'll be addicted to it because you can get so much done, and it's really effective and enjoyable. But yeah, you do have to prep your environment. You have to communicate with the people around you. You have to set it up so that you don't have distractions.
Thank you for that suggestion for noisly.com.
Yeah.
And lastly, I'd like to know, it is my curiosity, how you handle, you gave us some tips for distraction, but would you be willing to tell us a little bit about how you handle like your own sleep life or health? Like what are some things that you use so that you can stay fresh and focused?
Yeah, so I cover a lot of this in my book because I, again, don't believe that there is a perfect way for everyone to do sleep or eating or exercise or anything like that. But there is a system that you can go through to experiment with it. So how I do it is I keep everything the same, just like you would a regular scientific experiment. I keep everything kind of controlled, and then I change one little aspect and see if it makes a big difference. So for me, I'm really working on caffeine. I don't drink coffee and I don't drink soda or anything like that, but even tea has caffeine in it. So I'm paying attention. If I have a tea in the afternoon, can I still fall asleep? And things like that. And then I'm also looking at, I recently learned about sleep cycles and how a full cycle is 90 minutes long. And so if you wake up in the middle of a cycle, that's when you feel really groggy. But if you wake up in increments of 90 minutes, not throughout the night, but if you sleep for 7.5 hours or 9 hours, you'll wake up really refreshed. So I'm trying to pay attention at night. If I go to bed at 10:15, then I know to set my alarm for 5:45 to be exactly at a 7.5 hour increment. And it's been really effective. I thought it would be kind of like it would take a while or whatever, but the first night I did it worked. So that has been something that I'm working on. And then all the regular things: eat whole foods, cut out the processed junk, drink a ton of water. But I really think it's important because, again, my physical body is different than yours.
Yeah.
And you have different needs, to really pay attention to how you feel throughout the day, how foods make you feel. Pay attention to, what your skin looks like, how your hair feels, everything. And if you need more help with this, see a naturopath, see a nutritionist, someone who can test your nutrients and stuff like that, because I have certain nutrient needs that are way different than even my husband. And so I just keep tweaking that to get closer and closer to feeling energized and clean and good all throughout the day. But it takes time. It is not something that you do overnight. I've been working on it for years now, and I just keep fine-tuning it.
Thank you so much for those specific tips. It's really helpful. And thank you for your time today, Katie. I really appreciate it. And I know our audience will get so much out of our chat. Remind them where they can find you.
You can find me at heykatielee.com, and you can find my program at breakfreefrombusy.com.
And actually, I invite you to tell us a little bit about Break Free from Busy.
Yeah, so coming up in April, I will have a couple things that are free to kind of give you an intro to it, because there are a lot of myths out there about how to be less busy. A lot of it surrounds, if you just say no to everything, you won't be busy, which is not necessarily the case. And so I have a 3-part video series coming out on April 10th. And then I also have a full free class on how to break free from busy before you go into a 4-week program all about breaking free from busy, because I've been studying it for the last few years. And what I found is that there are a lot of forms of busyness. Just like your health, it is different for everybody. And so you cannot just give blanket recommendations that will work for everyone. So we really walk through how to recognize what form of busy you're struggling with so that you can actually address it more strategically, and then how to not sabotage yourself back into busyness after you have come out on the other side, because it is kind of uncomfortable to not be busy. It's not accepted in our society. People think, you're strange, or you're not working hard enough, or whatever. And so if it's not your norm, you're going to sabotage back to that status quo. So we cover a lot of that stuff so that it's more of a long-lasting solution.
And can people sign up for the free video series at breakfreefrombusy.com?
Yeah. Yep. There is just a email opt-in at the top, because it's not open right now. So if they put their email there, they'll get it.
Perfect. So I'll include the link in the notes for the blog post, everyone. And Katie, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to serve a psychotherapist.
You're very welcome. This was fun.